Welcome back to the Resupply with me, Guy Next Door,
And me, DK.
bringing you your Nationals double tap of all things Space Marines and Laser Force. It's day 2, y'all, into day 2. And old Guy Next Door is feeling pretty crippled and...
Steve's a tired boy.
Yeah. So this might be a short one, and that'll be it for this week. I've been Guy Next Door.
I think that was slightly longer than the Drunk with Power podcast.
We're recording live again from Chateau de Auckland. We got a studio audience. And we've also got some special guests with us on the mic tonight.
Oh, hi, I'm Odin.
Morange.
Yeah, Disco Monkey.
So today was a bit of a mixed bag. There were some dramas. There was some bloodshed. There were no chairs thrown, which was a good thing, but, you know, the week's still young. I did slam a door real fucking hard, though. So
2K wasn't here to catch it.
that's true, yeah.
It's okay, you weren't the only one. I'm pretty sure Shayla slammed the door pretty hard when Debbie was losing to Q's.
Really?
She got a little salty about that.
But I guess we'll get into some tales shortly. Do you want to kick us off, DK?
Yeah, sure. So after day 2, at the top of the leaderboard is Detroit A, who is technically tied on points with Brisbane, but they did beat Brisbane 6-0 in their match this morning.
Boom.
Which is probably the first big story of the day. So on the same number of points, but Brisbane has played slightly more matches at this point. So by virtue of that, Detroit A is in the lead. Next down is actually Detroit B with 32 points after they unceremoniously 6-0'd us this morning, which was a low light of the day for me. St. George is on 24 points after a decent but not quite as great day as they had yesterday. And they are technically tied on points with Syracuse, or Sewercuse as they are now known.
Where did that come from?
Who really turned things around today and had some great success in their matches. So they definitely turned things around.
It feels like they're mocking the New Zealand accent with the Syracuse.
They might.
Yeah.
They might be. If you say rise up lights and you say it reasonably quickly, it sounds like an Australian saying razor blades. Try it at home, kids. Right behind them is SAC with 22 points, and we are tied with Loveland A, who also had a bit rougher of a day today than they did yesterday. They're also sitting on 22 points. So a lot of teams closely stacked together. 4 teams in between 22 and 24 points. So it's very tight in the middle.
Yeah.
And then kind of by themselves is Auckland with 12 points.
That Auckland 8th in a tier of their own was the best call pre-tournament for DK.
You sometimes just have to have things that are just for you.
That's right.
And then bringing up the rear is Loveland B and Sac B, who have still yet to score a match point. But they are playing tomorrow. Somebody will score points.
I'm hoping for draws.
Yep.
Yeah,
Three
ties.
points apiece.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That'd be fine. But that is currently where it stands. And I guess if we had to kind of go through and re-tier the teams after the first 2 days based on our initial kinds of expectations, I would say now I would put Detroit A sort of in its own tier at the top.
At the top.
They have proved decisively that they can handle all the competition in the maze. Certainly Brisbane played them pretty hard, especially with Brew coming back, but neither of the games were really that particularly close. They came in and handled their business. Now, it's not to say with 3 more days left in the tournament, Brisbane won't figure a few things out. They oftentimes do in tournaments, but at least right now, I'd have to mark Detroit as fairly decisive favorites.
So you're switching your pre-tournament call of Brisbane. Are you officially changing that to Detroit A?
Well, I just
at
said
this
that
point?
I can't pick against Brisbane. I had them both ranked in tier 1, but now I would probably put Detroit A alone in tier 1. And probably, I would still think I would probably put Brisbane in its own tier for tier 2. As good as teams like Detroit B and St. George have played, I think when push comes to shove, Brisbane will have figured a few things out.
You think maybe finals time they might they might peak at the right time because that's just what they do.
It's very possible. So again, could revise this picture within a couple of days. And then I kind of do think that next group of teams are all sort of in there together. But I don't want to throw shade at Detroit B because they are 8 points ahead of the next team, and they came in and handled their business quite well today. They did end up dropping a match to Syracuse, which is partly how they moved up in the standings so decisively from yesterday. But they beat us. They beat Loveland without too great a problem. We played them very close in the first game. I was not real happy with how I played that first game that we lost by only a few hundred points. But then they just shit stomped us in the second game. We really had no answer for some of the things that they did. So Detroit B is playing very solid. I don't know if I can put them in their own tier, but they're definitely at the top of the next tier.
Well, they did the same thing to us when we played them. The first game was within 100 points?
Yeah, 100.
Yeah. Maybe it was you guys who I was thinking of as well.
Yeah, which is like painful, but it is what it is.
Well, and we were talking in the car about this. I think part of the thing is, in addition to a lot of these, 5 next teams all being, I think, kind of fairly close in skill level, a lot of it has more to do with how the styles match up with one another. Because like we said, we had St. George beat Brisbane, but Loveland beat St. George, and then we beat Loveland, and then Brisbane shit stomped us today as well. That was another more painful moment in there. But that's kind of how it's shaken out. So I'd probably put the next 5 teams all in that sort of middle tier together at this point, with Detroit B kind of being at the top of the tier right now. But we'll see what happens. I don't believe they've played St. George, or was that the one that we had to end a little bit early today since Ace had to go get some stitches?
No, it was Detroit A, I think.
Oh, it was Detroit A.
If you look at the standings, Detroit A have a 0.5 on their...
I see. Okay. Yeah, we were not there for the very last match of the day, so I actually can't give any sort of report
That was
on
this
that
one. Yeah, Detroit A, St. George 2-0.
Yeah, so Detroit A beat them in the first game, but they're not going to finish that game. So I guess technically speaking, we're not the very first game of the day tomorrow.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, they're
Since
going
they have
to
to
replay
finish
that
that.
one.
Hooray!
Yeah, true. Well, that works out well for us.
Imagine if you have the first block off, but you have to come into ref one game.
They did actually discuss that.
Okay.
Jess said that he was going to make some arrangements so that wasn't the case, because otherwise it would have been Brisbane having to ref that, and they've got to drive basically from Detroit. So, yeah.
No, fuck y'all. We had to be the first game every day.
But yeah, for them to come in, ref one game, and then not get to play until midday, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so we can go around and do highlights and lowlights of the day. For me, a couple of stories. I would say high points of the day. The match that we had against Loveland was really competitive, really fun, and it worked out in our favor because we won both games. Winning is more fun than losing. I find this to be a general rule of life. But the games were really competitive, really fun. I liked playing against those guys quite a lot. We had some good battles. Me and Luke, Caleb, Josiah, all up at the top, sort of trying to ping for resets and stuff like that. And it was good that kind of reboosted our confidence, got us back into the tournament after we dropped that 0-6 against Detroit B. That definitely kind of negatively affected my psyche at that point. But I think since we're going to play Detroit B again, maybe we can try to fix some of the things that went wrong last time. And again, they're really tough, but I'm hoping we can at least kind of figure our shit out before we have to do that. So that was a highlight of the day. Another highlight was toward the end of the Brisbane match that we played, end of the second game. We managed to stave off an elimination from Brisbane, both the games that we played. So that was kind of a moral victory.
Yeah.
And in particular, when it was down to the last couple of people, Brew was really kind of camping me. We were being opposing heavies. I hunkered down in the airlock. He came around the corner. I managed to get him down, and he didn't mutual me. And he told Kodama, hey, don't pop out. Don't give DK a reset. But I popped into the hallway just to see if I could get anything. Lo and behold, I see Elle, their medic, running across the field, I think, trying to get her neutral gen that I had denied her earlier in the game. So I just popped a shot there and then got the missile on Brew and that one. So that was a
awesome.
Nice quick 3 MVP. So that was the highlight of the game. The low light of that game, though, was I was coming up the green ramp. I saw Brew about to missile Aiden, so I very nicely, of course, shut Brew down so he couldn't missile my commander. What a jerk. But then, I figured, well, Brew's there, he's not moving. I better reset his ass. So, of course, I used my commander to reset it off of. As it turned out, that was Aiden's last life, and Aiden had himself a pretty good laugh about that and loudly called out to the rest of his teammates, "Their heavies just killed their commander!" So, if I were a more thin-skinned, salty individual, I might have told the ref, "Hey, that should be a taunt. That's a taunting penalty, you big jerk." But, I kind of had to take my lumps on that one.
He's just telling you, he's stating a fact, you did indeed kill
It was a
your own
fact.
commander.
I couldn't deny it. I'm sorry to say. So I'm very sorry that I did that, Odin. But one does not simply not reset Brew.
That was a very fun moment for me. That was one of my highlights for today. I'd like to just, if we could just settle it there.
That was a highlight for you?
Yeah, that's a highlight.
Didn't even say anything. You just straight up walked out.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oops, I fucked up."
What was even better was I was 2 off from another nuke, so
Oh.
We didn't need to mention that part.
There's the low light.
Yeah. So that along with the loss to Detroit B were probably the lowlights of the day. But overall, it was still a fun, solid day of laser tag. So I can't complain too much, especially since I don't get to play laser tag very often.
Yeah. So I think for me, picking up some points, having our team pick some points up in this competition was really awesome. It's definitely the highlight of the tournament so far for me, playing wise.
Points are good.
Points are good. Wins are good. And coming from where the rest of my team came from last year, it's kind of nice to, double the victories from last year?
Oh, I'll get to that in my highs and lows.
Low point for me was probably getting, there's a couple of dumb things that happened, but actually probably the real low point was missing out on picking up a match from Detroit B.
Yeah. Feel you there.
Yeah. To be so close, and there's a couple of things that happened during the game. Probably worst of which was at the very end of the game, I tried to missile one of their players in the red base, and there was I think it was Ferris downstairs or Tyrell, I can't remember, one of them. Oh no, Ferris was behind me, and basically I missed the missile, and then shot the person I was missiling, shot somebody in the lower window, and then Ferris popped up and put 3 into me from behind, and that actually won them the game.
Oof.
So that really was not great.
I feel your pain because I think we lost our game by about 600 points, and I saw that Jerbear outshot me by 7 shots. He was 21-14 on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I chalked up our loss to things that I did not do correctly at that point.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you and I both know there's 100 things that can happen different in a game,
Absolutely.
but it's tough not to feel like I fucked up and cost my team the match.
Yeah, I felt pretty much exactly the same way. But to put points on the board feels really good. So especially after yesterday. Yesterday was a tough day, but today was much better.
Cool.
Aiden?
My highlights? Alright. So, I had, a couple highs and lows, and, one of them was definitely missiling Rusty while he was trying to get a base. That was
Suck
very
it, Rusty.
satisfying.
Welcome to the Missiling Rusty Club this Nationals. It was great. Let's do this.
Good times. And then I continued to, empty my missile quiver into the rest of his team, so, that worked out great. But I definitely I gotta agree with DK. Playing against Loveland was really fun, But actually, one of my highlights today was a lot of the reffing that I did. A lot of the games were really fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
Especially, I really like watching SAC B play, just because they have a lot of really unique qualities that are good in their own right, and they've been getting really creative with how they use them. And so, that game SAC B versus Brisbane, obviously Sac B is not a favorite to win against Brisbane, but Autumn was doing a really good job of keeping Rusty down and keeping Rusty out, and I'm pretty sure she traded even with him both games.
She frustrated him a lot.
She made me her bitch today.
Oh, yeah, she did. We talked about that.
Yeah,
too.
man.
I watched that up in red keep. Oh man, but really, it's just something you would have to see in person. The way she moves, especially at the top of red, she went off
She's
on
killing
some
it.
people. She
Yeah.
got in the zone, but then I mean,
She kept me out of green for a little bit, so I thought, fuck this, and went and hoovered some points up in the tower instead. If I can't break the heavy a couple of times, I'm like, fuck this, I'm going to point whore.
I need some pity points.
And then Applesauce has been really. I thought that she
Yeah.
would be strong as a 3-hit, but watching her play ammo has been really surprising.
Yeah.
The way that she'll put 3 hits down behind Autumn, the way that they kind of progress together and fight together and play off of each other, it's just really beautiful to watch. And it's like, here's this team, they have 0 points so far, they haven't won games, but the way that I'm watching them develop their play style is just really beautiful to look
They're getting
at.
close.
Yeah,
They're getting
for sure.
close. I think. I mean, again, no offense to the Loveland B guys, but I think Sac can probably take them when they end up playing each other tomorrow.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm biased. They're players from my site. I want to see them do well. And not to take stuff away from Loveland B, they had some good moments as well. And I'd want to give a special shout out to Phantom, who I think really kind of crushed it today. He was definitely helping his team out
Oh, yeah.
quite a bit and was being very tough to get past. I know at least 3 different occasions when we played them, I had to be called back to deal with Phantom because other people just either couldn't get by him or he was attacking our resub super hard.
Yeah.
Phantom has been crushing through defenses. And Loveland B is another team where, they haven't been winning games, but they have their moments. Like, I was watching their game against Loveland A, and they just kept kicking them off the ramps. They would flush their whole team up these ramps, and you'd see all of a sudden there's 5 players sitting on this ramp with 2 poor Loveland A kids, and they're all running around screaming, and somebody will come around the corner to help, expecting 1 or 2 people, and all of a sudden there's a whole team just pinging them, and it was really cool to watch some of the stuff that they did and some of the things that they were able to pull off. And I have to agree, Phantom has been doing a really good job on heavy. He's been really solid, and when he pushes forward, he's definitely somebody you have to look out for. So.
All right. Well, I mean, G's stole most of my high and low lights because we're on the same team.
That's why I went first.
But no, I mean, there's a lot more positives to say, which is good because Leach said I sound depressed on the podcast yesterday. That was a recurring theme last time, but no, this time we have doubled our match wins from last tournament and quadrupled our game wins. So
Nice.
yeah, 2 match wins out of 4 matches today. That was a good feeling, getting the monkey off your back. It was good. I don't really have much else to say. We're playing better as a team, I think, than we were yesterday, despite having some close calls yesterday. I personally, I've gotten used to this maze faster than I did Brisbane. I was not really playing Brisbane well until midway through Wednesday last year. I think I was just being a bit too stubborn and I like to play this way, I'm going to play it this way, and it just wasn't working. I think Detroit suits me a little better. I do like to move around and stuff. My back is still sore, but that's going to be a place anyway with low walls.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the nice things about going to tournaments, though, is seeing different fields and having to adjust your play style. Because almost always, even if your field plays very differently, you still learn a couple of tricks that you can take home and say, well, I wonder if this will work on our field. And oftentimes it does, but you wouldn't have thought to try it because your field doesn't really require it in different ways. The Detroit field's definitely grown on me. I felt it was very kind of middle tier in terms of arenas that I played. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it either. But I've enjoyed it by and large.
I still have moments of where the hell am I being hit from?
Well, yeah, that's just going to happen.
Yeah, all those angles.
Yeah. No, but overall I just felt a lot better today, which is always good.
Was it the ice cream?
The day was good. The day was good, and then the ice cream just took it to that next level.
Next level.
If low lights, the Detroit B game, if only because that is 100 points, And it's we got, I think we lost by 7,000 the next game. I think.
Yeah, we got stomped.
I think they pulled finger and realized that they got very close to dropping a game to someone that they probably thought they wouldn't. That first game in particular, I kind of had a really good late finish as well, so it's kind of like almost if I just pushed a touch harder, I could have got it. I got 3 of them trapped in a corner at the top of red, and I pulled off about 8 shots. Got a nuke, ran to back corner, dropped, ran back, put some more shots in. But yeah, no, that was a bit rough when we got out, and I looked at the score and I was like, oh crap, I didn't realize this was close.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those moments in Detroit because so many of these games are being decided by like 1,000 points or less. It's super.
I think
it's so crazy.
Our 2 victories were relatively comfortable. At no point in the games did I really feel like we weren't in control. And I think we've always had about a 5k points differential, I think, for all of our wins so far.
Yeah, they were challenging, but not.
Oh, they weren't like cakewalks. No team has really like just folded. Against us.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Disco.
Yeah. So highlights, I guess. So we showed up early this morning, and we thought we had a good chance against Detroit B, and through like series of events, we had some of the people on our team had a hard time getting some points, and resupplying wasn't where it needed to be. And it was one of those times where like there's like a point in like a team where it can be like a make or break type thing. Like we could easily gotten at each other's throats, and it could have thrown off the whole rest of the day. But we got together and we talked, and ultimately it was a really good thing. It brought us together, and I think because of that we had a really good rest of the day.
That's cool.
We worked some stuff out, and after that there wasn't any finger pointing, and it was just a really good thing overall. Even though we got 6-0'd, and I really thought the first game it felt like we were in control the whole game. And so when you get that at the end of the game, your team came second, I was like, are you joking?
Yeah.
So it ended up being a really good thing. I really enjoy playing with the Loveland A kids. There's no pressure in playing with them. It's just fun. And it's not because they're not competitive, because they're very competitive. I went into that fully expecting that they could take us out. But there's just no pressure playing with them, and it's fun, and it's like I don't expect any people on that team to get upset or have any issues after the game, because of my conduct or their conduct or anything like that. It's light, it's
good
fun,
spirited, right?
Yeah, it's amazing, and so I really appreciate playing with them, and it's really fun watching them grow. 'Cause, my first tournament was in 2015, and it was actually at their site, and there's a lot of chaos out there and a lot of drama, and it was just ridiculous. And I feel like coming into this tournament, I see a lot of growth in them, as players and as people too, and it's really cool to kind of watch, and I appreciate it.
They have super pulled it together. So, Loveland guys, if you're listening, I know today might not have gone exactly the way that you'd hoped it would, but you guys are right there in the thick of it with the other teams in this tournament. I mean, none of us can be Detroit A or Brisbane in terms of our expectations for the tournament, but I think you're as competitive with a lot of the other teams in our bracket as anybody else. And if we see you guys in finals, I'm still going to be a little nervous.
Yeah. Well, and one cool thing about the Loveland kids is that they're growing and getting better, but at the end of the day, they're coming to play laser tag, and they're going to play it their way. And that's one of the reasons I think it's so relaxing to play with them, is because they're playing laser tag their way, so I feel like I can just play laser tag. I feel like I can go out into the field and say, you know what, yeah, let's do this, and just go out guns blazing with them. We had some great fights, we had a lot of running around, a lot of chaos, and they bring a lot of chaos into that arena with how they play.
It is true.
But I love that. It tosses everything up. You start questioning things. You're like, is that really the play? I don't know. let's go do this. This sounds right. This sounds fun. Let's do it.
And the thing is, they're all so young. Half of them are 17, 18. You think this is just the start of their career, as it were.
I remember being that age.
If they're this good now, imagine how good they'll be with 5 years experience under their belt.
Yeah, they could be really scary.
And that's a scary concept.
Assuming their site doesn't close down.
Why you gotta
I don't see that happening.
Why you gotta go there, man?
That one's payback for
I only
last
got.
I already banned Hoodlum from my Facebook for posting that shit.
If our site ever gets closed, I feel like that's going to be karma just coming back.
Yeah.
night. Probably.
Yeah, watch out. It can happen to anybody.
Put into the pot to make
We'll be
SAC 2
okay.
or SAC 3, SAC 3.0.
So 3.0.
Don't take laser tag for granted, kids.
Yeah.
Really, just
yes.
especially that practice. Like, I wish because for a bit there, I'd been coming again almost every day whenever I could, even just playing standard games, special games, just getting experience, making sure that I'm keeping my gun up, making sure that I'm coming around corners right and stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff that just playing laser tag and being in the field does. And towards the end, I stopped doing that. I didn't think that was that huge, of a deal. I was like, I'm going to take a break and do some stuff. But then all of a sudden now it's gone. And I'm like, I really wish I got a little more of that practice in,
Yeah.
Maybe that would have lasted me a little longer and I wouldn't have rusted out so fast.
Well, I think part of what you said jogged my memory. One of my other hilarious minutes of the day was when I was reffing one of the Auckland matches, and I literally heard Guy use the phrase, "Ron, keep your gun up," and I had to stifle some laughter.
That doesn't sound like something I would say.
Keep your gun up.
You sure there wasn't a fuck in there somewhere?
It was in the tower, I believe.
I thought I was going to get a pretty exciting moment when, after both of Orange's not enough orange moments, where in a game I hear him screaming, coming down red hallway towards red ramp, and yelling, "I haven't come up yet," and I hear his pack say that he has 4 lives and a nuke drops. And I know that he's got nukes because he hasn't dropped them yet. And I hear him run down the ramp screaming. I'm like, is this the moment? Is this where it happens? I'm going to see it in person. This is going to be amazing. And then he got the damn nukes off.
I dropped a double nuke on 1 life, and I got a life boost from my medic who was somewhere else in the field.
Chopper.
So I went up to 4. So I was dropping on 1. I'm like, this is it. And I'm like, lives of it, lives of pride. I'm like, oh, sweet. So I can't even remember who we were playing.
Very big game changer.
It might have been Detroit B.
I think that's when you were playing
I
Detroit
think it
B,
was
yeah.
It wasn't Detroit A because we got stomped by them.
No, I
but
think it
we're
was-
not special in that club, to be honest.
It's true.
I think it was Detroit B, and I specifically remember you getting slapped with that life boost right as someone came down that ramp. And you were probably very happy about that.
Because they nuked, I think they triple nuked. So you might have heard 4, but I started running at 10. From the tower, past their heavy, who I sprinted past, and if he had got the shot off, I was screwed.
That would have been awkward.
It was, because they triple dropped, and I survived by the skin of my teeth. It was definitely a heart pumping moment.
Yeah, not very much skin left on those teeth after that.
No, I did actually. The game finished with a nuke in hand. On the first game against Zach B, I mutual with Autumn, got to her special available, and then her 5 seconds remaining. Which is a bit rough, and I even went to Russell afterwards and said, "You're not going to add that to that stat, are you? That's not really on me."
He's like, of course.
Yeah, one actually, if we're talking about teams we've enjoyed watching, one I've reffed a few times when St. George have been attacking a certain ramp. I've been in the other teams, and it's really interesting. I like the way they always practice squaring before they come around the corner.
Yeah.
And they all do it. Like I saw even Snuffles, like he's sitting there lining up the gun perfect, like this against the wall, and then pops out. And it's cool to see that
People are trying.
that people who play with Thunder have basically been taught the Thunder technique.
What, being good?
Yeah.
I love Thunder. Thunder's a very wholesome guy.
I feel so bad for Ace. Like,
Actually, should we bring that up? Because I don't think we've actually mentioned it properly.
oh yeah, not.
Well,
not
we
me.
just mentioned that
Yeah,
he
all his
played,
feet.
but-
busted his head.
Yeah, so I went into like the bathroom and he was in there with his foot, like his feet up on the sink, sitting in a chair, and his head's tilted backwards, and it looked like a similar injury of somebody I saw get a hockey puck to the face. There was a massive chunk out of his lip.
Oh, jeez. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So the boys, I think, took him to A&E not too long after that match. He ended up finishing the match, right? Or did he
No,
get killed out?
I think he died.
I think he died because
yeah.
they did finish that game.
Yeah. But yeah, he was pretty cut open. But luckily we've got, several medically trained people on site. So
Although we'd already left, so Disco couldn't intervene.
No, I think did Al take point on that one? Was she still around? Or?
Alan Baden, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
Al
sense.
took point when someone screwed their knee earlier today as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Trinity.
Goldfish,
Yeah, she missed her knee up. But
Yeah, felt pretty bad for her too, but she still had some good moments in game as well.
Yeah.
Sneaking around some of those corners. Twice I walked right by her and she just nailed me twice in the back, and I was like, "Oh, good shot."
I think Princess had blood drawn as well, like albeit a tiny little scratch, but still there's some blood there.
Yeah. I think my dumb moment of the day is someone said, it might have actually been Ottoman, so like 3 hits in tower, and I walk into tower and I'm like, where? And they're directly to my left. I'm just looking the wrong way. And then they shoot me. I'm like, well, that was dumb, wasn't it?
You wouldn't think tower would be complicated. It's literally just a circle, and yet it just messes things up so easily.
Well, you gotta be able to keep your mind open both ways, and so you dedicate yourself to one direction, and you're like, that's it. I'm gonna go this way. Maybe someone's around that corner, but like you totally forget that there's a whole other direction where people could be moving. That's a really great thing to take advantage of, especially with path setting.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of times where I've juked somebody into thinking I'm going one way and then set a path on them the other way, so then they can't push past, and then the other way too. Like, it's really great when somebody sets a path and you can take off the other direction and go around.
And then some asshole on the opposite ramp just shoots you.
Oh yeah, or some asshole from your own ramp shoots you.
Or that.
Yeah.
Did I cop your suit to my face today? Was that you?
No, I was walking by. I was in kind of a bad way after our second Detroit B game. I have like a tonsilith or something that just, my throat was super dry. So I had to walk downstairs to get a drink of water. And not even thinking, I just walked by and brushed Steve's face with my hand and hit him right in the glasses. Didn't even know you were there. And he was like, "Oh!" I was like, "Oh, sorry, bro."
Wow, great. Poor Steve-O.
Yeah.
More head injuries. That's very serious.
Yeah, I'm keen to avoid those.
Yeah, I know what it's like to take a shot to the glasses.
I have
That's not great.
I have enough of a history with head injuries and laser tags, so.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm actually rather looking forward to our match. I think it'll be good fun as
I
well.
agree.
Yeah.
So that one's they'll finish off the.
It'll be the first block of the day
Yeah,
after they
yeah.
finish off that St. George game.
Before we move on tomorrow, I thought maybe discuss the big game of the day, because we haven't talked about it, which was Detroit A versus Brisbane, the game that everyone thought going in would be a lot more competitive than it probably ended up being.
I mean, it was definitely hard fought. Certainly, Rusty and Brew put a ton of pressure on the Detroit guys, but I think the big difference maker was just how active the Detroit scouts were at being everywhere to make life as inconvenient for the enemy 3 hits as possible. And one thing I would like to see tomorrow is if we could have a decibel measuring contest as who can be louder, you or Juan.
Yeah, I was well. Andy's great when he's not dying out while his medic's still in. I think he got it close. I think he was on 3 lives in the second game as well, and he went back and got resupply, and everyone cheered. But no, watching from, I like that game because from the lobby, everyone was just glued to the screen. And I mentioned yesterday, we didn't have any game like with Otako Lord yesterday, pulling it out with the skin of his teeth.
Yeah.
But this was the game that everyone had their eyes on. And yeah, I think, I can't remember which one of the games, Micro just went nuts at the beginning of the game and was racking up the points. He was absolutely dominating.
There is, just a wee old man Steve gripe. One thing that people do need to be wary of is yelling stuff from the foyer during games. And I'm not too sure how well the sound carries from the foyer into the arena.
I haven't heard anything.
I don't think
personally,
so. But there were most of the arena, most of the foyer yelling and cheering, which, was pretty cool. But when you start yelling things like, oh my God, drop the nuke, or, that sort of stuff, people just got to be a little wary of that. But otherwise, the fear, like the atmosphere was pretty dope.
I hate it when spectators score baskets in the fucking NBA.
Yeah, well, hopefully if that door's closed, it's soundproof enough.
I really have not heard anything out there.
I think
it's also
honestly
a good
it's
way.
okay, but then, I mean, I haven't heard it be that loud so far. Like
it was people got into it. It got loud. It was. I mean, but that's good. I like that. I like the fact that we're not all just sitting in the lobby on our phones, twiddling our thumbs in between matches all the time.
just casually live streaming with no.
Well, and those two teams in particular, with how much they were communicating with each other and their other team members, I think that would have drowned out anything that was coming from the foyer at that point.
Oh yeah.
Because they were definitely putting some decibels up there as well.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
that's a point well taken. Yeah, I had to ref those games because they called for extra experienced refs, everybody assuming that this would be a close fought game and not wanting there to be any question as to the enforcement of rules and whatnot. They ended up being pretty clean games by and large, and I just didn't feel the need to bring up a lot of stuff from those games because honestly Detroit just kind of handled their business.
It was a bit disappointing for the lovers of spectacle, but it was just Detroit A being clinical.
Yeah, but there'll be another go around in finals. I'm sure.
I'm sure they'll meet at some point.
Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to that rematch. But I will tell you, having to always get pulled in as the quote unquote one of the experienced refs for those games is super stressful. You would think that it's gonna be it's great. I'm gonna have a first-hand view of this great kind of contest, but you're having to look for all these little ticky-tack things. It can be very stressful.
Yeah, especially when you don't catch them because there are some personalities and they do get loud at the not at the referees, but just loud in general.
But both of those teams will make you aware when they want you to watch something in particular.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to be on your guard at all times and really pay attention, which I guess would be a couple other just reminders I would put out there to people. Referees, remember that it is your duty to be active during the games. I always tell, if I see any refs as I'm walking through who still have their guns clipped, you need to have your gun unclipped. You need to be ready to call things. And if you're in a position where you're in a corner and there's nothing happening down the stretch of hallway that you happen to be watching, but there's a lot of action just around the corner from you, you need to shift over so you can see what's happening. I know reffing is nobody's favorite thing, but we're so dependent on the refs being able to watch things effectively. So please stay vigilant in your duties on that.
And it becomes more interesting if you are actively participating in the game. Like
yeah, absolutely.
If I like to get behind people and like sight down the barrel of their phases, or make sure that shots are coming clean from the other side of the arena, or anything that I can do to put myself in a position where I can make sure to make some calls if they need to happen, rather than being stagnant in the one spot that somebody told you to stand in.
I think on the flip side of that also, there was some times there was like a ref just pacing back and forth in tower. I had 8 shots left at the end of one of the games earlier. There was a ref just pacing back and forth for no reason, and I saw lights and movement, and I used 2 of my shots. And that's bad on me, obviously.
It gets frustrating.
But I was definitely frustrated.
Yeah. Refs move as much as you have to, but no more.
Yeah.
Also, PSA. I've had this brought up by a few people. Switch your guns to penalty mode because that's not the default.
Yes.
The amount of time I've had more than once today, people come up and say, "Can you make sure people's guns aren't on blue because they are?"
I really wish that they
the
could.
default wasn't that.
Yeah, that they didn't default to the full referee mode, which we've been able to do in the past. I don't know exactly why it's gone that way this tournament.
Even the best can get caught. Traj said he started the game, so he had it on start mode, and he forgot to switch to penalty mode. And he tried to ping someone, and was like, actually, what the hell's happening?
Although I have had to use green mode to resume a player at least twice in this tournament after their vest shocked out, including Ragnar Tech in one of the games that I was reffing for you guys, and he didn't even realize his pack had done it. Came by and I shot him and he was like, "What?" I said, "Bro, your pack shocked out. I had to reactivate you." He's like, "Oh, well, thanks," and then he just ran away.
Gen 7.
Only 3 more days of Gen 7.
I was singing the praises.
Gen 7. Gen 6, Gen 7.
Right.
Back to, was it Gen 4 when they had the helmets as well?
No, that was a lot back in Gen 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But like back to the referee thing, one of my favorite things to do, especially in like the red or the green areas upstairs, is if there's nothing happening upstairs, looking down. There's so many things that you see from that like bird's eye perspective.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's you see a lot, you learn a lot from the way people move, and you could even notice things as a ref that you might need to call that other people wouldn't. But I was watching the way some of the like Detroit players moved downstairs, and I noticed a lot of really little things, like the ways that they came around certain corners and dipped their shoulders a certain way.
It's so smooth.
I'm like, wow, I really need to do that because I keep getting pinged on this turn, or when I go this way, I keep getting caught by someone across the arena. They're noticing me here, but I can hide behind this wall as I go around. And so the more you pay attention to the games, the more you're going to learn. Because at the end of the day, Nats is basically a big hodgepodge of, at least somewhat experienced players from around the world. And it's like all this skill is being brought in and all this knowledge from different arenas. And you really don't want to be missing out on too much of that.
And go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, like, Eve said today that he started writing like a book about all of his like knowledge about Laser Force. Specifically like Space Marines as well, but yeah, he said he wrote 65 pages on his experience with Laser Force. So finish that book, Eves, and publish it so that we can have a read. Cause
maybe we could make it an anthology. Maybe he needs some other contributors there.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. So two other. True. Two other quick things I would mention is that, again, it was discussed and decided in the captain's meeting that reflect shots on the ramps, so any of the slanted surfaces on ramps, are just banned by house ruling. There was some confusion about that earlier, apparently, whether it was just on the walls that are marked with an X or those are there specifically to remind the referees. And we did agree it's supposed to be anywhere on the ramps, although in most other areas you really can't get that reflex shot. But that's just something that people should be aware of. And
I had a hilarious moment today where I was reffing and on red ramp, and Ferris pulled reflex shot, and he goes, "Oh, that was a reflex shot," and kind of just put his gun towards me, like penalizing.
Exactly what I did yesterday. Yeah. Exactly.
And I was just kind of like, that was it was like, I'm like, that's legal, isn't it? He's like, yep.
Yeah, I had an accidental chase. I tagged somebody. They went over and around a corner, and I was kind of battling it out with a few guys, and I went down myself, and then I came back up. I'm like, all right, I'm going to push. And so I go around the corner and tag him, and as I'm coming around the corner and tagging him, he goes, I haven't come up, and I noticed his lights were on, and I'm like, are you serious? So I just kind of like held my phaser out, and I'm like, I'll take that one.
Yeah, that's there. And yeah, on the note of chasing, because this came up, I don't know if all players are aware that when we're defining a path that someone has set for a chase, the path descends from the middle of their body, not their foot. So the foot is not the measure. You can't have somebody just stick out their leg into a hallway to add a couple of extra feet to a path. It needs to come down from the center of the body. So don't measure from where somebody sticks their foot out across the line or something like that.
Yeah, make sure your torso crosses one of those track lines that have been, put out in the arena.
Yeah.
I had a word to somebody today, I can't remember who it was, but basically they backtracked, but, stuck their foot out, maybe 3 feet or whatever.
Yeah.
I was just like, nah, man, you got to run all the way to the line if you want to if you want to be safe on the green ramp.
Well, and also just as an issue of safety.
Of safety,
If people are sticking their leg out in the middle of a hallway, that can be a bad situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Notably for that player as well.
Yeah.
So just something to avoid. But that's pretty much all I got for the day.
Yeah.
I mean, for the day, for this, I've maybe looked forward to tomorrow. Just, I don't know if this is going to be anyone else's favorite match tomorrow, but I'm really looking forward to Loveland B versus Sacramento B.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Super excited.
I hope the rest of the foyer is like this as well, because it's going to be a big game. No pressure, guys, but
It's gonna be very fun. I'm gonna try and ref it if I can. If they need any extra refs, I'll go stand there.
I don't know if that's
going
going to work. Yes, extra Sacramento person. I'd like to come in and ref this game.
I actually hope
mean-
I'm not going to have to ref that game because I would like to see it on the scoreboard and
That's true.
have the spectator atmosphere.
Yeah.
I haven't
around
actually
me.
got to peruse the schedule yet, so I have no idea what I'm doing when that game's on. I think it's
Same.
near the middle of the day. I think it might actually be last game of round 2. Because round 2 will finish tomorrow, the cross pull round. I'm just stalling. For a
No,
bit while
let's
DK
that's okay. We'll figure that out tomorrow. But yeah, we'll be back again tomorrow to record. We'll probably look to record. We were supposed to have a dinner tomorrow night, so we'll figure out something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll maybe record before
Yep.
we.
But in the meantime, old man Steve needs to go to bed.
Yeah, so half the peanut
I
gallery
think-
have fallen asleep. So
Yeah, I think we all need to go to bed.
yeah. All right. Well,
Bedtime.
so for day 2 at the 2019 Laser Force Space Marines 5 Internationals, I've been Guy Next Door.
And I've been Fireball DK.
Please make sure to join us again tomorrow night for some smooth regalings of Laser Force.
And switch your phaser to yellow.
Now keep your gun up, Ron.
Always remember to backtrack, kids. We will talk to you tomorrow.